Hello, DOP fam, and welcome to another Cleansing with D video here. So day after Thanksgiving, happy belated Thanksgiving, happy Black Friday. I know a lot of us get super excited for deals. So let's start there. But in that theme, given that I know y'all are eating some leftovers today, I know the eating festivities have not yet ceased. We today will talk about something that I'm going to start on Sunday. And it's something that near and dear to my heart, which is fasting. So, we all hear about intermittent fasting, etc. And why is it that we're talking about it so much? So breakfast, right? When we hear that word breakfast, we don't think about the fact that when you deconstruct the word, it's breaking fast. So the time in which you break fast really isn't all that important. Studies have found they're like, first meal of the day is the most important. That's kind of been debunked. And really breaking fast at any point is fine. However, I do find that giving our body extra amounts of time to digest and have less amounts of food eaten is incredibly beneficial. So one thing I would suggest, if fasting for long periods of time, let's start with 12 hours, right? The 8 hours in which you sleep and a few more hours in the morning. And then you can break your fast and have your breakfast at that point. So that would be my first suggestion. For those of us that can get a little more hardcore, if you've never done it, let's start with 24 hours. An easy way to do 24 hours is to have breakfast and start your 24-hour fast for lunch, right? It kind of feels less impactful because you're sleeping for such a long amount of time, right, during it. And it just feels easier in my experience. Now, for those of us who are a little more experienced or are hardcore like me, I strongly suggest to go on a 3-day fast. And the reason is that, our bodies spend an incredible amount of energy digesting, right? So if your body is spending 60-80% of its energy just doing its basics, right? Because our heart needs to beat, we need to breathe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are functions that must happen. And then we're taking a bunch of this energy also to digest. Then the things that are considered less important, like healing, etc., are taking a back seat, and our bodies may never even get to the point where it's able to take on those tasks because we're constantly feeding it large quantities of food and it is struggling constantly to digest it. So a good way to get our body back on track is to do a 3-day cleanse and just drink a ton of liquids, some herbal teas, lemon water, and spend 3 days doing that. In my experience, of course, day 1 can be a bit challenging. It's not terrible. Day 2 is probably the most challenging. You're extra hungry. You've already done a day. You're kind of questioning your whole life. But by the time you get to day 3, you start to feel this almost, I would say, high. I have done 5 days and you kind of get that feeling even more so if you take it on a little longer. But the fact that your body has the ability to not have to digest, you start feeling this odd sense of high and mental clarity that some of you guys may never have experienced. So listen, if you guys want to go on a really cool journey that also cleanses your body, I strongly suggest to take some time after these holidays and before we go on another food binge in Christmas to take on a little bit of fasting. You guys, I promise you, after 3 days, you're going to feel pretty incredible. Well, I won't take too much time. I know y'all got a lot of shopping and family doing to do. So I will conclude with that. I love you all, and we shall speak soon. Till next time. Mwah.